Hello, Circencester Foundation Jehovah's Witnesses.
Oh, hi there. Thank you. Thank you very much. My name's Robert. I was given a copy of Enjoy Life Forever when I spoke to somebody beside the carts. Could somebody help? I've just got questions about what I've been reading, particularly lesson 13, please.
You remember who actually spoke to you?
No, sorry. It was quite some time ago.
Right, okay. I'll just get the person next to have a look at lesson 13 in the brochure. In the brochure.
It's the book Enjoy Life Forever, and it's lesson 13.
Lesson 13.
Yeah.
So you must have had the book then.
I said yes, the book, lesson, lesson 13. The brochure only goes up to lesson 4.
Yeah.
Yep.
Carry on, yes, sorry.
It's paragraph 2 on page 55. Do you mind if I read, or do you want to read it, or shall I read it?
Hang on, I'm just getting the book a minute. So that is, hang on, can't quite see the moment now.
I beg your pardon?
Yeah, sorry, I was just trying to see what was on there. Okay, so...
Shall I read it, or do you want to read it?
If you'd like to read it, I'll just...
How does false religion misrepresent God by its actions? False religion does not treat people as Jehovah does. The Bible says that false religion's sins have massed together clear up to heaven. For centuries, religions have meddled in politics, supported wars, and caused or approved the death of countless numbers of people. Some religious leaders enjoy a lavish lifestyle and demand money from their followers to pay for it. These actions prove they do not even know God, yet alone have the right to represent him. The book seems to be saying that if a religion is involved in politics or warfare, then it cannot represent Jehovah God. I mean, have I got that right?
Yeah.
I did some searching on jw.org. I looked at the Watchtower for 2016, November 2016, page 29, paragraph 9. And I'll read it in a moment, but it talks about the Watchtower's involvement in the First World War, how they were involved in a national day of prayer on May the 30th, 1918. It doesn't mention that Rutherford went on a platform with Catholic priests and Protestant clergymen to pray with them, which he did. But it says that Jehovah's Witnesses were encouraged to take part in the National Day of Prayer and to buy liberty bonds to support the financial assistance for the military.
Yeah. If you actually look at the up-to-date one, it actually says we no longer do that. It was changed not long after that.
Well, there are many religions that no longer do things they used to do in the past that were bad. But your book...
You get information come in and you realise it's actually wrong.
Would that mean that they did not represent Jehovah God in 1918 when they took part in the National Day of Prayer and they encouraged the purchase of the Liberty Bond to support the American war effort in the First World War?
Yeah, well, obviously back then they probably were sort of, say, misinformed, but obviously through study of the scriptures, they appreciated that was actually wrong to do that at that time.
But did they represent Jehovah God in 1918 when they were supporting the American military?
Well, yeah, because they thought they were doing what was right. Obviously, with more study of the scriptures, they realised it was actually wrong.
So religions can support warfare and represent Jehovah God, you say?
Well, not really, no. Not really, no.
Well, as the Watchtower was supporting the American military in the First World War, how could they represent Jehovah God?
As I said, as Rutherford actually studied the scripture, he realised it was actually wrong. So
I understand that, but did they represent Jehovah God at the time they were supporting the American military?
Well, obviously, at that time, because they thought it was right. Obviously, through further... Which Watchtower was it?
Yes, thank you. It's the Watchtower, 2016, November, page 29, paragraph 9. I'll just read it. Do you mind if I read it?
Okay.
Not everything the Bible students did during the period between 1914 and 1919 was in harmony with scriptural principles. Although they were sincere, the brothers did not always have a proper view of subjection to the secular governments. Therefore, as a group, they were not always neutral with regard to the war effort. For example, when the President of the United States decreed that the May 30th, 1918 would be set aside as a day of prayer for peace, Watchtower urged Bible students to join in the observance. It doesn't mention that Rutherford actually went onto a raised platform to pray with Catholic and Protestant clergymen, which he did. Some brothers purchased bonds to provide financial assistance to the war effort. It doesn't say there that that was due to the Zion's Watchtower magazine. It wasn't called the Watchtower then, it was Zion's Watchtower and Herald of Christ's Presence. Zion's Watchtower was encouraging the purchase of Liberty bonds at the time. It then goes on, some brothers purchased Liberty bonds to provide financial assistance to the war effort, and a few even went into the trenches with guns and bayonets. However, it would be a mistake to conclude that the Bible students were first taken into captivity to Babylon the Great because they needed correction and discipline. On the contrary, they understood their obligation to separate themselves from false religion, and during World War I, the break with that world empire was almost complete.
Yeah.
So they were involved with the military in the First World War, and one of the watchtowers that actually encouraged the Bible students to buy to buy Liberty bonds, I'd have to find this out myself. I think it's the Watchtower for the 15th of May 1918. I've got a scan of it here, just a second. Yeah, 15th of May 1918, page 6257 in Zion's Watchtower. It's quite, the page is quite large. The article is reduced in the reprints, so there's quite a lot of text on the page. But it says, the people of our association are not against the government nor against the Liberty Loan. Our thought is that the Liberty Loan is not a religious question, but purely one pertaining to the affairs of government. Then it goes on lower down. The International Bible Students Association is not against the Liberty Loan. Many of its members have bought and hold Liberty bonds. And then on the other side of the page, because it's, if I just go up to the right-hand side of the page, it's a long article, I won't read all of it, but members of our association who have some personal means have bought Liberty bonds, including tabernacle workers who are paying 25% of their monthly allowance to purchase a bond. So clearly in Zion's Watchtower, they're encouraging the readers in America to buy Liberty bonds.
Yeah, back then, yeah. Obviously, as you said.
Hello?
I think is actually look at these watchtowers. I can't read them for myself.
What I'll do, I've got your number on my phone. What I'll do, I'll actually get that watchtower up.
Yes.
And probably have to give you a ring back. It's probably best thing. I can get clear information on it.
Yes.
Yeah, I see what you're getting at, yeah.
They did the same thing in the Second World War, so they didn't sort of clean shop after the First World War. The same thing happened, albeit only in Australia in the Second World War. That's reported in a yearbook, the 1983 yearbook, page 97 to 98. And it mentions that the watchtower violated neutrality in Australia with regard to the Second World War, which kind of shocked me a little bit.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that?
I'll have a look at that. That's probably the best thing. It's a bit awkward to do it when you're just looking at it quickly. Yeah.
Well, if I give you the references...
yeah, I've got the references there, yeah. I wrote them down.
There's a Watchtower article that mentions this in 1947, 2 years after the end of the Second World War. It talks about how young men going for Bethel service were sent to work in canteens or machine shops producing instruments of war. It doesn't name the company, but I found out that's the Taylor Craft Aircraft Corporation. It was owned by Mr.
Yeah.
Taylor. He had a twin brother who died in 1928 testing a new plane called a Chummy. So the other Mr. Taylor ran the company alone. I believe he was a Jehovah's Witness. I'm not absolutely certain about that, but I believe he was a Jehovah's Witness. And he ran an aircraft, a small aircraft production company. You know, it's not like Boeing. It's not as big as that. It was a small Australian aircraft manufacturing company. Of course, aircrafts were much smaller in those days. And during the Second World War, Taylor Craft went entirely over to the production of military aircraft for the Australian Royal Air Force to fight the Japanese in the Second World War. So the Watchtower for the 1st of June 1947, that's page 173 in the bound volumes, it says, there were others who had been called in for work who became so busy with printing things pertaining to this world, working in machine shops producing instruments of war, that's Taylor Craft, okay, or serving soldiers in canteens, that they soon lost their appreciation for the truth and were lost into the sea, eventually drifting right back into the world. Well, that's because the Bethels sent them to work on military bases in canteens, and the Bethels sent them to work for Taylor Craft Aircraft Corporation. And again, this is briefly reported on, without any specifics and detail, in the yearbook 1983, page 97 to 98, which I actually found out today. I actually found that out earlier today. Let's just have a look. I can read a little bit of it to you. This, as is very evident to us now, had not had Jehovah's blessing. It had brought reproach and misunderstanding with respect to his name and cause, and has troubled and weakened the brethren. We do not wish to shift the blame for this course of conduct upon any particular one or ones, but wish humbly to confess to a common responsibility for this matter here in Australia. So this is the Australian section of the, I should really read the whole paragraph.
I'll have a look at, we've got a meeting in a bit, so I've just got to get ready. So
yeah,
I'll get those. I've got the references. Yes. I'll read them out.
It basically says that they were part of the war effort. We put various properties of God's consecrated people to what we now realise was part of the war effort and propaganda, therefore violating the true neutrality of all footstep followers of Jesus Christ. That's on the start of page 98. So I'm puzzled about that. I'm puzzled about the Watchtower's membership of the United Nations, 1992 to 2001, and their current involvement with the United Nations through NGOs and other organizations such as OSCE, Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. The Watchtower is heavily involved in the military, heavily involved in politics today, and it even gets share dividends from arms companies today. I find that very, very difficult. How can an organisation that gets share dividends from arms companies such as Northrop Grumman and Lockheed Martin, how can the Watchtower claim to be neutral when it gets share dividends from arms companies?
I'll have a look at these.
Okay.
These references we've got. It's the best thing to do, and I can have a better understanding of it. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.